question I kind of already talked about, but if for the viewers at home, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Where has life have you right now? I guess how's family and all that jazz.
I'm south of Rhode Island, and life is pretty good. Um, Stay in contact with my family, and they come to visit, and I visit them.
I'm curious how often you kind of think about that period of kind of like 1996 and the time around Vicky's death, and how often do you kind of think about it, and or is it more like when days like this happen where there's updates in the case or the trial or things of that sort where it's front of mind, or is it something that you think about, I guess, constantly?
I don't really think about it when I'm awake. I still have nightmares almost every night of being in prison or being told that I have to go to prison or escaping or being chased. I thought those would have gone away a long time ago. Um, I don't really think about it a lot. I did register as a victim with the Attorney General's office, so I was notified every time that Todd came up for parole.
What was it like in those moments when you were when it was not something that was out of your control, like a dream or a nightmare, where it was, you know, you were getting those updates on him and his parole, and how did you kind of navigate that constantly being in the loop?
Soon after I was exonerated, I wrote to Todd and I told him that I wanted to meet with him because I had some questions about his confession, how it just didn't sit right with me. And I did get a response back from him, but he said he was open to meeting with me, but he had kind of melded into the population and he wasn't the center of attention anymore. And he was concerned that if I came in to meet with him, that he again would have been a target. And I understood that because when I went to prison, people targeted me until somebody high profile uh, was admitted into the prison. So I didn't really pursue it, but later on I wrote to him and with a series of questions, and I never heard back. So I registered with the victims unit. I guess it was with the Attorney General's office because I wanted to be there during one of his parole hearings to ask him what really happened the night Vicky was murdered. And when I was notified, I was told that he wasn't going to be present, so I didn't bother showing up.
Overall, how many letters did you guys exchange, and when did the communication stop?
I sent Todd 2 letters and he responded to my first one and he didn't respond back to my second one.
How long ago was that?
It was many years ago.
Did you ever think of trying again or reaching out again, or was it kind of like a one and done?
After my second letter, not getting a response, I just let it go.
Was that difficult, not getting the closure to some of the questions you had or some of the concerns you had regarding his confession, or just overall the fact that he is the reason, or well, not like that you were kind of spent so much time in prison for a crime that he committed and you weren't able to kind of get those answers from him?
Of course, I was grateful that he did come forward after 6.5 years. He did have a conscience. I know there must be a lot of people in prison who are doing time for somebody else's crime, and that person is living their life. But at the same time, what this put my family through, Vicky's family, even Todd's ex-wife and children, it really bothered me that part of his confession just didn't sit right with me. And I wanted to ask him what really happened that night.
May I ask what specifically about his confession, I guess, raised alarm bells for you?
So I saw Todd's videotaped confession and I played it several times. And in it, he said that he got into an argument with Vicky and he proceeded to strangle, strangle her down to the ground and then bludgeon her to death. And she was found with a dental mouth guard in her mouth. It's something that people wear to keep from grinding their teeth at night. And I wear one myself, so I know that you can't have a conversation with somebody when you're wearing one of those. That's why during my trial, we thought that the jury was going to see that there was no argument, there was no threats. But Todd said that he got into an argument with her and she was found with this mouth guard. So just using common sense and being a former cop, it just felt like he got into an argument with her maybe earlier in the night, and then he went out to a club like he said he did, and he either drank something that somebody put, spiked, or he smoked something that somebody laced with another drug. He said that he had these visions of going on the highway towards her apartment and then climbing up her downspout and going in through the second floor window and getting into an argument with her. And none of it made sense because she had this mouth guard. That was the whole point of me wanting to talk with him and say, Todd, what really happened that night? I think that he was just trying to avoid a first-degree murder conviction.
Why even go as far as, I guess, why do you feel like you needed those answers? I mean, at this point, you were free, released, you can essentially wash your hands clean of everything that happened. I guess, what made you feel like you still needed to know what exactly happened that night?
I guess it was partly just, the investigator inside of me, but it was also what he had put my family through.
I wanted to know what you felt about Todd back then. Once he had come forward, how did you feel towards him? Was it hate? Was it still a bit of relief or grace? Or I guess, how did you feel just about this person that essentially put you and your family through so much turmoil?
As I said, Leanna, I was grateful that he came forward. He didn't have to do that. He said he was staying awake. He couldn't sleep at night. He couldn't think straight. And he just had to confess. I know that he also supposedly had contacted the Warwick Beacon. He called them the day I was found guilty. And he said, you got the wrong guy. They got the wrong guy. You need to look into this. And he also said that if he had ever been contacted, he would have immediately confessed. I guess I'm more aggravated with the Warwick Police Major Crime Unit back then, because part of the evidence that was collected was one index card that was a contact list that Vicky had kept. And on it were 6 names and phone numbers, and his was one of them. So they never contacted any of the people on that list. Neither did the Rhode Island State Police. And I just wonder what would have happened if they had contacted him. They could have solved this very easily. And I also blame myself. As a cop, I should have looked closer at the crime scene photos and seen that contact card, that Rolodex card, and told my lawyer, I should have said, Joel, contact these 6 people. So it's a mixture of emotions.
What was your reaction when you found out that he was officially released? I know you said since you were marked as a victim, that you were able to stay in contact with the DA's office, but how did you feel when you officially learned that he had been released?
Todd spent a lot of time in prison. 1 week, 1 day is a lot of time. 1 day in prison is like 3 days out here. I don't think he's going to hurt anybody else. I don't think he ever would have hurt anybody else. I know that my oldest son is really upset because I was sentenced to life and I would have done life because I never would have confessed to something I didn't do. And the parole board wants to hear remorse and confessions. So my son's upset that Todd was able to plead guilty to second-degree murder and receive 45 years with 30 to serve. And I guess he got, I don't know how many years of good time, but
30 for good time.
I hope he, I don't know. I don't know what to hope for Todd. I hope that Vicky's family and Todd's ex-wife and children aren't watching the news tonight. And I just hope this is the end of it.
Have you forgiven him?
Yeah, I've forgiven everybody.
How were you able to find that forgiveness? What did you have to tap into something, or is that just who you are?
You really can't go forward unless you just let it go.
I know you have a wife and you have a son and all your kids. Do you think that comes from wanting to kind of be able to show up for them? You know, you hold on to hate, or you hold on to any of those bad feelings, and you're not able to kind of show up for them. Do you credit them with being able to kind of force yourself to move on in that way?
I still have some anger because I know that my mom would have lived a lot longer if this hadn't happened. I know that of all the people, it probably affected my mom and my oldest son the most. But yeah, if you hold on to hate and anger, it doesn't do anybody any good.
Do you plan on reaching out to Todd at some point?
Not at this point, no.
Do you see you two meeting ever?
I would be open to it, but I don't really expect that to happen. I'm not sure, where he's going to be. I don't visit Rhode Island very often. I miss a lot of the people and a lot of the places in Rhode Island, but I don't get up there very much anymore.
A place that you spent so much of your time and had raised a family with. How do you deal with? How do you view Rhode Island right now and the city of Warwick?
I love Rhode Island. I miss it.
And have you spoke with Vicky's family at all? Do you hear from them? Do you know how they're doing?
No, I don't. I really hope that they're doing okay. I know that this is going to be a tough day for them.
Absolutely. Bill Scott, again, I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. I know none of this is easy, and we're all appreciative, and I'm really glad to know that you're doing well. I know the first couple of years out, just based off of my kind of initial research and going through the case and stuff, weren't easy, and so it warms my heart to know that you're doing well and that your family's doing well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I hope you have a good rest of your evening, as best as you can, given the news, and have a good rest of the summer, and good luck.
You too. You too.
Thank you. Bye.